What is up, everybody? Welcome to Straight from the Dome, episode 7. Apparently, I can't run a computer or any network, anything, so this is take number 2. Uh, say big thank you to Chad Springer. He's come on as a guest for us tonight. Augie has a bunch of homework to do, apparently. Studies first, so, and whatnot. He probably not even doing homework. But anyways, Chad, welcome in. Thank you for taking some time and coming in here and talking some Notre Dame football and some college football with us.
Hey, my pleasure, man. I gotta tell you, this is a little unsettling for me. I'm talking to a college kid with a Call of Duty poster on his wall in the background, and my dad had high hopes for me, and here I am. So I'm just kidding. I really appreciate the invite, and I'm happy to be here and talking some football.
Yeah. Hey, I do play Call of Duty, and it's quite fun. Chad's a little old for little technology. I'm sure little Max is going to come in here soon and want a PlayStation or an Xbox. Have to teach the old man how to play some Madden or something. So
hey, let me. I was outside a little while ago throwing the football with the little guy, and my wife came out and picked the football up, and she tossed it, and it didn't spiral or anything, and it was really awkward, and it kind of turned over a little bit, almost like a knuckleball. And I thought to myself, if I was throwing a football with Bray, this is what it would be like. And so I think I have a pretty good perspective on who I'm dealing with here, and I can say with relative certainty, even though I've never seen you throw a football, that my wife can throw a football better than you.
okay, you can say all you want about my Call of Duty poster, but I can throw a football. Okay, I can throw a football with perfect spiral every single time. Next time you and Max come into town for a game, and you come and you're any early, because I know you guys are late arrivers all the time. Come in early, meet me on the practice field, and I will challenge you to a punt, pass, and kick contest. And I
Dude,
guarantee
you don't want those problems.
I guarantee you Max beats us both. Guarantee
You
it.
don't want those problems.
Well, anyways, thanks again for coming on. Glad you can be
Yeah, of
on.
course. Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Oh, hey, did you have Subway for lunch today?
Today I did have Subway for lunch.
Oh, hey,
$3 chicken teriyaki.
oh, there you go. Not 6 inch. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I also had Subway for lunch today, and I actually I live tweeted my experience. Not sure if you saw. Actually, a guy um, in front of me asked for a spicy buffalo chicken, and I'm thinking to myself,
I can do
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's caked in buffalo sauce. How is it not? Like, you have to emphasize the spicy. That was weird to me.
We're like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Pretty much, I just stuck to my phone and just,
I mean, that's a guy you just take his back of his head and slam it into the sneeze guard.
hey, I know you have a
Walk,
million.
walk over him and get your sub.
Yeah, you have a million Subway stories that you share with us via Twitter, and I think we could start our own Chad Springer Subway podcast, and I guarantee you we could fill an hour each day based on every experience that you've had there. And I know Jared will contest that if he watches this. So, anyways, we'll hop right into it. Like in previous episodes, we had kind of talked a lot about our running attack, and our last one we talked about what we'd like to see heading into the bye, anything that we or would like to see fixed. Um, we talked about the three-headed monster. We talked about our offensive line issues. I'm kind of curious to hear, maybe you can dive into a little bit, give us a little bit of what you had to say about what you'd like to see on the offensive line, any rotation switches you'd like to see, and then kind of hit on that three-headed monster. Who's the kind of people that you wanna see emerge as two guys that are kind of going to carry the workload?
Sure. Well, I think as it relates to the line, the bye week's at a good time, and I think a couple of the guys might be beat up a little bit. I think Lombard's got an ankle. Martin I don't know what's up with him, but he seems a little slower and not as powerful as I remember him pre-injury last year. So again, maybe the bye week is coming at a good time for him. Um, I think, and I read the message boards like the rest of the geeks out there. So this isn't any inside info. This is, um, uh, Lombard and Elmer, I think, are going to be switching positions. And my take on that is that, Elmer, frankly, is playing a little bit out of position. I think that might have been forced a little bit. I think he's more of a true guard. I don't think he's quick enough. I don't think he has quick enough feet for the tackle spot. So I think Lombard and Elmer switching might help a little bit. And as with the running backs, I just don't think that handing the ball to getting one series and then coming out, getting one series and coming out, getting one series and coming out. I think running backs have to be in more of a rhythm, and so I'd really, really like to see one of those three guys emerge and get, 60 to 70% of the carries, as opposed to, coming in for a series and then leaving for 10 minutes. I think that might be part of the issue, but I think the bigger issue is the offensive line, and we've got a veteran. He's going to get that figured out, and we all know BK is going to figure out the running game, and it's just he's too stubborn not to. So look for big things. I think coming back from Syracuse, he's gonna make a point to have that thing fixed.
Yes. The rotation of the offensive line, like you said, is going to be, a nice thing to figure out. And I agree with the whole Lombard and, oh gosh, I'm freezing. What's his name?
Elmer.
Elmer. Gosh, stupid. Anyways, Elmer, I agree with that whole thing. I see exactly what you see in that. And it'd be nice, like I said, get a little better rotation going with those guys. And I think that can take care of a ton of our issues.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're a rhythm guy. You said it. I'm a rhythm guy. If you kind of look at it, especially to start the game, the running backs are essentially playing every third series. So when you start Fulston and Cam or Greg, whatever the order it be, mainly for the first half, they're playing every third series. And I think I noticed a little bit in the second half, they kind of start relying on maybe one or two guys based on the flow of the game and how they're doing individually. But man, rhythm to me is just so big, and you just can't get any sort of rhythm. Even with a mediocre offensive line, you can get into somewhat of a rhythm if you get 15 to 20 carries, get the flow of the game, make a couple guys miss, and whatnot. It takes a little bit of the feel of the game, and the guys are not getting that with 8 to 9 carries a game. So, do you want to say any specific two guys that you'd like to see? I don't know how you feel about Cam. How do you feel about Greg Bryant?
I think when Bryant is in the game, he brings a different feel. It just feels like he's anytime he's going to bust one, and I know there's a lot more that goes into it than just who's the fastest and who can bust a long one. There's pass protections. There's who's going to get the straight ahead 2 yards on 3rd and 2. They all bring a little bit different, some different things to the table. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Bryant, and I would stick with him. I'd give him 20 carries and see what he can do. I think Syracuse is a great time to do that.
He's by far most elusive, or by far most explosive back, and that guy needs 20 carries a game. He could go start at LSU tomorrow, and he could get 20 carries a game. The combo of him and Fournette down there, Leonard Fournette, that freshman, that's a phenom.
The guy that thinks he's the Heisman Trophy winner?
Yeah, okay. You need a little ego there, and Greg Bryant has a little ego. So they would.
Who was that against? Sam Houston State?
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole other argument in itself. So
yeah.
A couple other things I want to touch on. strictly Notre Dame based. I know we want to get into kind of reviewing this weekend as a whole. We all kind of got to. I know Chad goes to every home game. I go to every home game. Went to the Shamrock Series game. Chad, we miss you down there. Daughter had a soccer game, I believe. Is that what you said?
Yeah, we had a late soccer game. Um, we had a football game. I'm not even sure which one came last, but it was going to be too close, and frankly, I didn't. It wasn't going to work.
Yeah, and you got to do what you got to do when you have little guys running around and little girls. So I don't have to worry about that yet, thank the Lord. So
Yeah,
um,
well, don't trust the rhythm method that we were just talking about.
I won't. Um, but anyways, so kind of like I was kind of getting to there, we go to a lot of games. We don't. I know personally, I don't get to watch a ton of college football on those weekends because I spend a lot of time out on campus tailgating, and then after the game, I can catch the night game normally. But sometimes I don't even get home until a quarter in at least. So it was a nice weekend, and I'm sure you kind of were with me here. It was, and you got a crazy long drive. You got like 2 hours after every game.
Right.
So, anyways, it was kind of nice sitting at home this weekend watching a full day of college football. It could kind of give us um, a little idea of what's going on around the country and maybe fill us in a little bit of how other teams are doing. So, like I said, I want to hit on a couple more things, specifically ND, and then I kind of want to get into the whole realm of college football, talk a little Heisman and whatnot with our boy Chad here. So, kind of one more couple things for as far as Notre Dame. Um, you have any thoughts on the five guys being held out? What you think is going on with that to this point? Because to me, at this point, I don't even know what to think anymore. Initially, I thought we'd hear something a little sooner. Um, I don't even know what to think anymore. Where we're at with that. So if you have anything to say on that, what you expect,
No,
what you hope.
I mean, I don't know what you know. I think it's whatever's going on. It feels unfair. Um, and that's shooting from the hip because I don't know what's going on, and but they've been held out for over a month now, and you know I'm of the opinion you either cut them loose or you let them back in. You got to do something. It's time. Um, I'm hoping that there's not something bigger going on that's causing this delay, but um, it feels like it should be moving a little bit faster than this, and anything I would say on it would be obviously just rumor, but Notre Dame seems pretty tight-lipped about what's happening and pretty hell-bent on not letting anything get out. But I think it's time to either just kick them off the team or kick them out of school or let them back and play football. Um, it's to the point with a couple of guys where it's going to start costing them some money, and that's not fair. It's all I really, I'm not really sure where to go with that. I just think that enough time has passed that um, they should be able to come up with something by now.
Yeah, either they've served their punishment or they're done. That's essentially it.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you look at it, they've missed 3 games, but with the bye week, they've missed 4 weeks and pretty much an entire month of team activities. So
Yep.
that's just massive, and they're still enrolled and whatnot, and they're still on their track to get a degree. But how terrible for those guys is it going to be if, hey, they've been going to class for this month and then now all of a sudden they're kicked out? Like what a waste of time. So
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you. It's to the point where something definite needs to be, some definite decision needs to be made either way. And I can't say I would be surprised either way of where it would go because at this point we've been just dangling here, and those guys have been dangling. It's just one of those things, I guess. So, all right,
Yeah, they got to resolve it here pretty soon. But if you would have told me a month ago that all these guys would be out and the defense would be playing like they are, I would have said you're insane. But a couple of guys have stepped up and um, next man in, I guess. But uh, they got to get it figured out.
yeah, and it's great, like you said, next man in. Brian Kelly's been preaching that essentially since he's gotten here, and boy, has that paid off. At this point, it's like he's been preaching the entire time, next man in, and hey, at this point, it's like everyone's bought into it. You're a freshman; it doesn't matter. You're going to get your playing time, and you have to perform, and that's what he expects out of those guys. So let's hit on a couple things. We kind of did a little bit of a preview where we think Notre Dame stands, where we think realistically they could be at the end of the year. Now, correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree in any way. I look at our schedule and I see a brutal stretch coming up, but I don't see a game that we cannot win. I don't see a game where we're going into it thinking, oh my God, we might get beat by 14 or something along those lines. And especially after watching the games this weekend, which we'll get into in a little bit, no team to me looks exactly like a powerhouse, like unbeatable, like maybe previous years in any of those SEC teams, whether it be Alabama or whoever. Um, do you see any game? Obviously, I would imagine Stanford, Florida State, Arizona State, USC. Those are games that worry you. Do you have are you optimistic as to where Notre Dame can be at the end of the year?
Well, when before the year, I said 8-4, 9-3, and I kind of break the season down like this. You have uh, Rice, Purdue, uh, Northwestern. Um, those are games you should win. I've got, I had Michigan, um, North Carolina, USC winning two of those three. Florida State, Stanford. Um, I'm missing some of them. I had the season broken down in um, what do you call it, in segments of uh, up to the level of the competition, um, and I figured that we would lose, to a Stanford, to a Florida State, and then lose one of to USC or Michigan, and then throw in an Arizona State or something like that, and end up with 9-3 or 8-4. And I still think that you know starting the season off 3-0 is great, um, but I don't think we're beating Florida State. I think Stanford is you know that's a 50-50. Arizona State looks really good. Um, so I, I'm just being a realist here. We're not going 12-0, and at the beginning of the season, 9-3 would have been a great year in my opinion, and so I'm going to stick with 9-3, and um, could we win every game? Yeah, but looking at the schedule, that's not gonna the way the schedule lays out, that's not gonna happen.
It's brutal. It's brutal to say the least. We have Stanford, which is a road game essentially. We come back home for. Oh, I'm sorry, Syracuse. Did I say Syracuse or Stanford? We Syracuse this weekend, which is technically a road game. We come home for Stanford, home for North Carolina, and then essentially we play our next three games on the road. We got to go to Florida State. We're playing Navy and Arizona State. So I'm really optimistic, and I feel like this team has an edge to them that maybe we haven't seen in a while, and it reminds me a lot of 2012 defensively that we've seen turnover-wise, but we're a much better offensive team with a much better quarterback than we had in 2012. I think two losses is very, very reasonable. Um, I don't see anything that would tell me that any red flags that say you're an idiot for saying two losses. But at the same time, you look at that, we have to go on the road to Florida State, on the road to Arizona State, which is not an easy place to play at all. And then we have to go on the road to USC. It's just a absolutely brutal stretch we have coming up. Um, I say, do you agree with this statement? If we have two losses, I mean, why would we not be in one of the other BCS non-playoff games when you, well, that's realistic, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, which, remember, this is a team that is going to be miles better next year than they are right now.
Mhm.
So a team like a year like that, a two-loss year, would be huge confidence growing for this team.
I
Um,
think I saw a stat of I know I'm going to butcher this, but I think it was 37 of the 44 two deep is back on both sides of the ball.
yeah,
Um,
I know we've only played two seniors against Purdue. I know that.
so I mean the arrow is definitely pointing up. I think the youth will show itself through the course of the season. I think there's a couple of losses in there. I'd do a cartwheel for 10-2.
Yeah, and look, I hope they go 12-0
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
whatnot. So don't, everybody don't think we're hating on us because we're not. But hey, I think we can be 12-0 a little more than Chad does. But that's, neither here nor there. So Chad's just that old
Well,
grumpy guy in the gold seats.
yeah, yeah. You gotta be old and crotchety to have that kind of perspective.
Okay, so hey, let's talk a little more of the college football landscape in itself. Did you see anything this weekend that kind of stood out to you? I kind of want to preview a little bit and talk mainly about some of the teams that are currently ranked ahead of Notre Dame because, like, hey, we're going to be optimistic here and say Notre Dame's taking care of business. Um, and obviously, if we take care of business, things are going to fall into place themselves. It always does. But let's say we lose a close game to Florida State on the road by 3. Okay, um, that's our only loss. Do you see teams ahead of us that are, at that point, do you think we can still be in that 14 playoff at one loss?
Um,
On the
one
road to
loss,
Florida State by 3.
yeah, one loss SEC team. You know, look at Auburn's schedule. Um, if they've got one loss and we have one loss, they're going to get in over us. You're going to have Oklahoma and Baylor um, are going to play each other. I think one of those two is going to win out. So you're going to have somebody from that conference, either Oklahoma or Baylor. I think Florida State, they will have beaten us by 3. Um, Florida State wins out. Um, they're in, and then you've got Oregon, Alabama sitting there. Um, I think it's going to be hard for us with one loss.
Can there really be, like, okay, there cannot be two SEC teams in this, do you think?
An undefeated SEC team and a one-loss SEC team.
Yeah.
What
Okay,
if
you can look at,
what if Alabama beats Auburn, goes undefeated, and that's Auburn's only loss after looking at Auburn's schedule?
okay, I mean, that's very realistic and that's very possible. But you could compare the schedules of Notre Dame and Auburn, and we would have lost to the number one team, and they would have lost to the number two team, let's say. Okay, I think our
Mm-hmm.
schedule with the road games that we play easily compares to Auburn's schedule on their back end. They're gonna play. I mean, let me pull up their schedule real quick. They're gonna play guys that are, I mean, it's SEC football for heaven's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also gonna play that bottom half of the SEC, and you have to kind of take into fact that they've played San Jose State, Louisiana State. I guess we've played Purdue and we played Rice. But I mean, I think our schedule is very comparable. I mean, they have LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I mean, they play a crap load of ranked teams to finish the year. Their schedule, I guess, maybe stands out a little bit more, but there's no way we don't have an argument.
Oh yeah, I think there's an argument, but if there's a one loss, I just don't think if we have one loss and it's the scenario you painted, and there's a one loss STC team that we get in over them.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, they do play more ranked teams down the stretch and more probably top 15 teams, but also things are going to take care of themselves as far as that goes. Some of those teams that they play later in the year could lose and not be ranked, and it's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing for us and whatnot. So, But I think we might have a better chance of those teams not losing because they're not playing in the SEC.
Hey,
So
you know who I can tell you will not be in the Final Four?
let's hear it.
Michigan. Yeah.
Oh, they don't have a shot at that.
It's
Even
been
if
a fun
they,
week. I live in Michigan for those that don't know that, and it's been a fun actually couple of weeks
oh
for
man,
me.
I could
So,
only imagine. I could only imagine. I actually was going to ask you a question about Michigan coming up, so we'll save that.
all right.
Um, but yeah, as far as that goes, we have comparable schedule down the stretch with Auburn, but we need them to lose one more game for sure. We need them to lose 2 games. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think,
I think the best case scenario if we lose to Florida State by 3 points is that all the SEC teams beat each other up and they've all got 2 losses.
yeah, and the whole committee thing. I don't know if it's going to work in our favor or work against us. So this is the first kind of experimental year to kind of get a feel as far as that goes. But hey, we if we have one loss to Florida State on the road by 3, we have as good a shot of any 4 teams to get in there. So other than being undefeated and whatnot. So man, I'm being super optimistic. I want us to be there so bad, and I understand we're 1 year away from being. I mean, we're going to start next year top 5 if we return all those guys. There's no way we can't. So
Watch this scenario play out though too. Watch a team like Michigan State blow through the Big Ten, beat Ohio State badly, beat Nebraska or Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, and back their way into that fourth spot as the Big Ten champ with 1 loss.
yeah, I God, that would just be brutal. I would be.
I'm
I
also, South Carolina's playing really, really well right now too,
yeah,
and
but they've had that embarrassing loss. I don't think they
they
can
had
get
they
over
had a
that.
really bad loss, but
And they barely beat Vandy last weekend, wasn't it? Yeah, they struggled with Vandy on the
yeah,
road.
yeah, scratch that. I was thinking that they were playing a little bit better, but
You can sit here and talk all we want about it. It's just things are everything will take care of itself. So,
yep.
oh, do you think 4 teams is enough?
Yeah, I mean, if you have four, the fifth and sixth teams are going to, be left out. If you have eight, the eighth and ninth are going to be left out. I think four is fine. I
I
like it.
I like 4, and it's a heck of a start. Thank God we're finally here and not banking on a computer to put us where we need to be. But I
Right.
think 8's way too many. To be honest, I think 6 is perfect. That's the way I run my fantasy football league. And if you know anything about fantasy
How's that
football,
going for you?
hey, I'm in like 5 leagues, and every league but that
No,
league.
no, 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 no. Wait a second. How's that ass whooping going for you?
you
Because
know,
you're in a league with me.
it. I didn't draft that team.
You
I
didn't think that we were going to go through this whole thing and me not bring up that
I knew it was
pounding.
coming. I knew it was coming. So hey, hopefully we meet again because I'm making some waiver wire pickups here, and I'm gonna make some trades because I didn't draft that whole team. Actually, is that the down the tunnel one?
I don't know. All I know is I logged in and it had your name on it and an ass whipping.
You're right
I've been a
there.
couple of them too.
I can't deny that. So
It didn't even say win or loss. It just said ass whipping.
yeah, it was by like 40 or 50 at the least.
Yeah,
I know that.
yeah. I
So
didn't even need all my guys.
yeah, you could have sat your best player and still beat me. All I know is one of those leagues, and I think it was that one. I drafted Jimmy Clausen and Brady Quinn, like just to be funny, and then I realized, I'm a competitor and I really want to win. Why did I just do that? So, whatever the story may be behind that, I can't then sit here and deny that you absolutely dominated me. So,
Yeah, I think I said I was going to do that before the season started too.
yeah, you
But,
did.
I mean, it's a hell of a demasculating thing to have somebody say I'm going to whip your ass and then just do it.
Yeah, you're
And
right. You're right. Here,
anyways,
here's your moment. Here's your moment. Have all of it you want on my podcast. Go ahead, keep going. So, it's all fun and
yeah,
games.
that's brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah. All right, so we kind of hit there as far as some teams that where we'd like to see Notre Dame. Like we said, We're just trying to be as realistic here as we can. I'm trying to be as realistic and as optimistic as I can at the same time because I mean we're diehards here. We would be stupid not to admit that we want Notre Dame to be, in the national championship every year or in that playoff, but we also need to be realistic. So I think we're doing a pretty good job of that.
We don't sound like toll homers, right?
No, 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 no. I don't think so. I mean, yeah, probably. If a Michigan fan's listening to this, yeah, we're the biggest idiots in the entire world. But hey, 31 nothing.
37.
Yeah, man. Okay, I'm so mad that that game ended like that because how fitting of an ending to that would have been a pick six, Gardner laying on the ground, can't even get up and walk. Place just
Hey,
going absolutely nuts.
yeah, that would have been perfect.
I couldn't. I can't think of a better ending, a better fitting. It's like a Cinderella. Like that. It's just a fairy tale.
Yeah, that was a good time. We saw some things on that campus after that game that I've never seen before
Like
in all
what?
my uh, girls taking their shirts off and dancing in fountains and
Really?
yeah,
Wow, I took the wrong way to the car, I guess.
yeah. I was like, it was the first time ever that I actually considered giving my child away to a stranger so I could stick around, but I made the correct choice, I think, and
Yeah, you made the responsible decision.
the responsible choice, right?
Yeah. So, hey, great parenting 101 there for anybody. Okay, so hey, I know it's early. Um, give me your top three Heisman guys right now.
Top three Heisman guys.
Yep.
You know who I like is Amari Cooper from Alabama.
Yep.
I think if you're looking for um, the best player, I think Winston's probably the best player, but I don't think anybody's going to vote for him. Um, but I like Amari Cooper. Um, let's see, who's the kid from Texas A&M playing lights out?
Kenny Hill. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yep. Um, and you know, I'll just throw Golson in there too. I think he's in the conversation, and his chances hinge on Notre Dame continuing to win. But those are three of them. Um, yeah, I think, like I said, I think Winston's the best player, but I think he's probably not going to get any votes. I think his likability factor has um, it's peaked, and it peaked last year. And
Yeah, no doubt. I don't even know what to say about that guy other than he's one of the most, one of the biggest idiots. I just can't even imagine. Like, I don't even know what to say. My three, I totally agree with you, Cooper, but so I'm going to put them in order for three, two, and one. I'm going to go Marcus Mariota. I know he kind of struggled last week or whatnot. He didn't really struggle. He just didn't have, great numbers. But I'll kind of explain my reasoning kind of behind it, as I kind of go into this. So I'm going to go Mariota, I'm going to go Cooper, and then I'm going to go Gurley. Gurley to me has just been dominant all year. Kind of hard to say no to that guy. Um, this is kind of a question I want to get into with you. Um, I can't. I disagree with about Everett. I've said this many times. I don't think he's even closely putting up Heisman numbers. You only have two passing touchdowns and 250 yards against Purdue. I'm sorry, that just takes a lot away from your Heisman campaign. Um, do you think Heisman voters, based on what you've seen now with Winston and what you've seen from Manziel, do you think now let's say Everett down the road this year finishes well and literally has Heisman numbers? Okay, he puts up Heisman numbers against Florida State, Stanford, etc. Do you think his academic suspension and his past hurts him because like you've seen guys like Winston and
Mhm.
Manziel. You've seen that
Yeah,
they're
I think
yeah.
he'll lose some votes.
I think that hurts more than some people can kind of maybe think right now because I mean you have to think as a Heisman Trophy winner who votes for the Heisman Trophy, you see a guy that you voted for and who's in the same conversation as you are, and you see guys like Winston doing what he's doing, just looking like a complete clown, and you see guys like Manziel who very, let's put it in Deadspin terms, he 85%, there's a 85% chance he sold his autographs, okay, and we're leaning more towards 100. So do you think guys like that, those pass and how young those guys were, et cetera, do you think that hurts people like Golson down the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Golson's a little bit different. He's got a little bit, I mean, a little bit better story. It's a little bit more of a redemption story than some of those guys. And those guys just come across as being kind of prickish, I guess, is the best way I can put it. And um, so I think that he's going to have, he's definitely going to lose some votes. If if the if he gets into the late in the season and Notre Dame's still winning and he's still putting up decent numbers, um, there's people that won't vote for him because of that. But that's how it is. But if Notre Dame's there at the end, I think that Golson goes to New York.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, Golson's story is completely different. Um, like you said, it's a redemption story. He hasn't stolen anything. He hasn't sold any autographs, anything along those lines. Yeah, I agree. It definitely, he probably loses some votes because of it, but let's be clear and honest, it's a way different story than those guys. And as much I want Everett in the conversation, and I love that he's in the conversation. It's great for Notre Dame. It's great for Everett, and he doesn't. He might not necessarily have to put up um, Jameis Winston numbers like he had the year he won, or Johnny Manziel numbers, because you can tell based on 2012. Although I thought Manti was a very, very worthy candidate, just your team winning and going undefeated can carry you to that point.
Yeah, if they lose one game, he's out of that conversation.
Absolutely, and it was the same situation for Manti. So, all right, well, we kind of hit on some Heisman stuff there. Um, let's talk some Michigan football. Best part of the show right now. How many more games do you think Hoke makes it through the season?
I think he'll make it through the season. But God, what a dumpster fire that is right now. I almost, yeah, I almost said that I almost feel bad for him, but then I stopped myself, and I don't. Um,
I hope
I
he's
hope they
coach
lose
forever.
Yeah, well, that too. Hoke in general, I think he generally seems like a likable dude. He probably would be fun to have beer and chicken wings with, and he's probably got great stories. And he's, like I said, he seems like a nice guy. Um, but we know how that can work out. So nice guy doesn't equal great coach. And I think that when I just think that they have some talent on that team, and the way that they're playing is I think it is a direct reflection of the coaching, not the players, and so I think he's in trouble, and they'll be scouring you know the NFL, and you know Jim Harbaugh will be rumored to be going there for the next 6 months, and but it is it is interesting to watch the fans, because some of them have already just given up on on the season. They haven't even played a Big Ten game yet.
Yeah, a couple guys that I was trolling hard from that I went to high school with. Today I asked them. I saw the picture about the, hey, if you buy 2 Cokes, you get 2 tickets at the game. Okay, so I saw that picture, and I asked him about it, and he got really defensive and said, why don't you just focus on your team and stop hating on ours? And I'm thinking to myself, come on, if Notre Dame was in this situation, you would be trying to roast me all
Yeah,
day. And so
yeah,
I'll sit here and say you weren't, or you wouldn't, because you know you would be. And and hey, it's kind of weird. We kind of seem to struggle on opposite years. Like when one team's kind of doing all right, The other one of us is really sucking. So we're having nowhere near the year that they should have. Like maybe last year, let's say, um, losing Everett, that whole just snowball effect. They beat us, and it's just like God, this season's such a waste. It just happens in like weird momentum swings like that to me. So, man, I thought after that 37 nothing beating that we put down on them, I thought, hey, they lose to Miami, Ohio next week. He does not make it through that week. They won. They took care of business. Let's not take anything
It
away
was
from.
10-10. It was 10-10 late in the second quarter of that game.
Yeah, I mean, they it wasn't easy. I can tell you that they had to
Yeah.
make some plays down the stretch. But hey, let's not take anything away from Utah because they're really not bad. They're not a bad offensive team, and their quarterback is very solid. I think he had one of the higher QB ratings, I believe, or efficiency ratings going into that game. Um, I don't know if you know any more about that or not.
No, all I know is the guy almost died.
Yeah, he did. That was unbelievable. So what an idiot. Anyways, he came back in and finished the deal, so I'm
Yeah.
thankful.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, you look at their schedule: Minnesota, Rutgers. I mean, you think if they lose 3 games in a row, if they lose to Minnesota and they lose to Rutgers, you think he makes it through the year? Three losses in a row. At that point, they'll be what, 2-6? Is that what they'll be? One,
Yeah,
two.
I think he'll make it through the year, and you know, I just a midseason firing is I just don't see it happening.
Unless they fire
I
their athletic director at the same time, because that's very
Yeah,
possible.
well, yeah, I mean, the president fires the AD and the coach at the same time. Boy, that'd be some good Twitter fodder, wouldn't
Oh man, they would really, they would really hate me. Good lord.
it?
I'm having a blast with it. I really don't care what they have to say. I don't care how down they feel. I don't care how embarrassed they are, because when we were 3-9, they were giving it to us. So I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah. No,
And
they definitely they deserve everything that they're getting right now.
so you think if they miraculously turn it around, look, they could. I mean, they could beat Minnesota, Rutgers. I mean, Penn State's a solid football team. Do you think if they turn this around and somehow win the Big Ten, they beat Michigan State on the road and Ohio State on the road, you think he stays? Is he still there? Wins the Big Ten?
You went to the Big Ten, yeah.
I'd still fire him. He can't develop his players. It's very clear. There's three
Well,
there's 3 guys on that roster that were number one at their position or number one overall in their recruiting class, and he cannot win games. He can't score a touchdown against Power Five conferences this year. He's not developing his players. He cannot develop his players whatsoever.
hey, you win the Big Ten, you're not going to get fired.
Yeah, well, when the Big Ten's so bad, I think at some point you have to like, hey, I understand. Hey, maybe you coming back and win the Big Ten's a good resume builder for your next job at Minnesota or something. But I mean, you got to part ways at that point. If it were Notre Dame and it was Brian Kelly doing that, I understand. Like, I love Brian Kelly, and I know you love Brian Kelly. Okay, but let's say Charlie Weiss. Charlie Weiss somehow miraculously came back after starting off 2-2. We went 11-2 or whatever, 10-2 to finish the year. I mean, based on the schedule that they're playing, get rid of him. He's not developing players. But like we said, I hope he's coach forever because I'm having a blast. I can tell you that. You don't see too many coaches come in and go to the Sugar Bowl or BCS Bowl their first year, and then every year literally gets worse and worse.
That was almost a curse for him because they had every break that could possibly go their way went their way that year, and that, that the expectations after that were a little far fetched.
Yep, they got their Michigan man, and boy is he working out. He's just eating chicken wings, like you said. I'll invite him over after he doesn't have a job, talk a little football, eat some chicken wings, because
Oh, I'm sure. Like I said, I'm sure he's fun.
absolutely,
I like chicken wings.
absolutely. Hey, I talked to Ryan Gingrich the other day actually, and I brought you up to him.
Oh, is
Um,
that right? What do
yeah,
you say?
he's like,
Did
man,
he admit to knowing me?
yeah, yeah. He's like, man, it's such a small world. Like, I can't believe, like, what are the chances you meet that guy on Twitter? So that was funny to me. Um,
Yeah, that's I found an old maybe I shared it with you, but I found an old picture of him and I 20 years ago, maybe. I don't know, maybe less than that, but um, and and I emailed it to him, and he's like, "Oh my God, look how young we look." Yeah, and we were too.
Did you throw my name in there at all?
I don't name drop.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Hey, but he was
I'm just kidding, man. I said we swapped emails and I told him that I had talked with somebody that he used to coach, and that's about as far as we got.
yeah he's unbelievable. He's one of my favorite person I've ever met. He's exactly what you would want to be as a man one day, and
Yeah,
um,
he's good.
yeah. Enough with the cheesy whatever. Um, but hey, I really don't. Unless is there anything specific that you want to bring up, ND football wise, college football wise, other than hey, all those top teams to me this weekend when I got to watch it looked very beatable. Nobody looked scary to me at all. Everybody looked beatable. So
I got nothing else to throw out. Um, everybody just hit me up if you're going to be at the games. If we can hook up for a quick drink, always down for that. Like you said earlier, a lot of times I'm game time, but we're hustling from something from here a lot of times. But if I can ever hook up with anybody, I'm always down to do that.
yeah, we met what for 5 minutes right before game once. It's nice
Yeah,
to
that was
meet
the
some
BYU game
people.
when it was like negative
Oh,
20 degrees.
yeah, brutal. Good lord. But hey, you said something about you have a foundation. Let's hear a little bit about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Jason Kinsler Family First Foundation. We assist families that have experienced the unexpected loss of a primary caregiver. So Jason Kinsler was a friend of mine. He was running a road race in May of 2011, and he passed away, had a heart attack during the race, and he was 37 and had three small children at home. And the foundation was started in his name for a couple of reasons. One, because Jason was just a good family guy, and he always put his family first. And the other is because while Jason's family had prepared and was taken care of, not everybody else's family does, and so there might be a family out there whose dad or mom, they pass away, and the kids need food, they need the rent paid, they need some type of financial assistance, and we provide that to those families. And this past spring, we had as our keynote speaker, we had about 500 people at our annual dinner, and Brian Kelly was the keynote speaker for our dinner this year, and we raised over $100,000. And Kelly Cares has been a huge supporter of all of us individually and the foundation as we try and make a little bit of a difference in the community. And so um, you know take a look at us online. Kinslerfoundation.org is our website. It's my passion. It's what I do every day, and making sure that if there's a family that needs assistance, that we find them and that we're able to help them.
And again, that's Kinsler Foundation. Can you spell that just so everybody can?
Yeah, KINZLER foundation.org.
That's awesome. That's the first. I mean, I've seen you tweet a lot about it, and I've seen all the donations and stuff that you've brought in and whatnot. That's pretty amazing. It takes a lot of hard work to throw that all together, and that says a lot about who you are and what you stand for, and that's just cool to see. Really cool to see. And again,
Yeah,
it's Kinsler, Kinzler, correct?
correct. Foundation.org.
go ahead, please donate to that. Anything you can do can help. Obviously, you heard the man. It's very needed, and if you were ever in that situation, you would want help. And um, it's amazing to see people taking those steps, and foundations made after such a tragic loss. It's a tragic loss when you have a friend like that happen to them and their family. But it's amazing what people do to turn that situation around, and make the best out of any situation. So that's awesome to hear and awesome to see.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it. I know it's 10:45. You're what, 3 hours past your bedtime?
If you're about to get an old man digging on me, dude, look at you. Okay, you got a Call of Duty poster right behind you, and I don't know what the hell else I'm looking at back there. So, um,
Hey, the fiance made that for me. Little thing up there for us. Hey, look, there's the beer and the Notre Dame right there.
all right.
And hey, look, we got one more thing over here. There's a Notre Dame thing and a grab some buds thing. Okay, come on. I had to throw some stuff on the walls. It was so naked and whatnot. So whatever. Call of Duty. Hey, when we have our
It
putt
is.
test and kit
You are
contest.
right. It is late for me right now. I'm looking at my clock. It says 10:46, and um, so yeah, it's time. It's my bedtime, man.
You would still be up watching the game. Don't even act like you.
Actually, here's what's going on right now. Mrs. actually just texted me a second ago. She's got the league paused.
Oh,
Uh, she's got an episode queued up on Netflix, so I'm gonna
well,
run upstairs and we're
I'm
gonna
really
watch an
holding you
episode.
back. I'm sorry.
I'll watch the first 5 minutes of it and I'll be asleep.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again, everybody. It's Chad Springer at Chad Springer on Twitter. A lot of you all know him if you follow me. I'm sure he's part of the group. So thank you, Chad, again.
Yeah, thank you.
Go Irish.
All right, see you, bud.